You're listening to The Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa. 0.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Isaac Lowenkron.
In the NBA Tuesday night, Klay Thompson's return to Golden State lived up to the hype as the Warriors prevailed over his Dallas Mavericks 120-117, thanks to the exploits of Steph Curry, who closed the game outscoring the Mavericks 12-3 by himself over the final 3 minutes and 10 seconds to finish with 37 points. Thompson had 22 with 6 3-pointers. Also Tuesday night, the Detroit Pistons beat Miami in overtime 123-121 with 1 second left in OT, and the score tied. Miami coach Eric Spoelstra called a timeout with his team out of timeouts, resulting in a technical foul that led to the game-winning free throw by the Pistons' Malik Beasley. New college football playoff rankings released on Tuesday night had Oregon still at number 1, followed by Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, and Indiana.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick it, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
We're having the same dragging issue. Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9, 1230 a.m. WTBC. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling right here on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9 and 1230 a.m. It is the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. Box Eye Care. You can go to find them at boxeyecare.com. That's boxeyecare.com. They are ready to take care of you. 205-342-0660. And we will have you in and up and at 'em this morning. We'd love to get you in on the conversation. It's a Wild Card Wednesday, so we have all types of topics we can get to this morning, some from yesterday, some new ones for today, including strength of schedule, canoe coat suspension. Interesting. College football playoff rankings. How good is Bray Hubbard? We talked a little bit about it yesterday, and I have been arguing on Facebook and social media. Would you rather play for SEC championship or get a bye into the playoffs? So you can respond to that as well. And then, of course, we haven't talked about Jalen. Really looked at Jalen Milroe's record-setting night. We hadn't dug into Bama's most complete game. And I'm telling you, I told someone yesterday, we ain't going to talk a whole lot about Mercer. I mean, Mercer's 9-1, kudos to them. But if we're having to put too much emphasis on Mercer, we don't belong in the playoffs. So hopefully the team understands that and they're able to hold water. Also, you can look at Bray Hubbard. How good is Bray Hubbard is a question that X wanted to dig into just a little bit. So, and then of course, it's Wednesday. So that means we'll have Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week with Scotty Hollins, Executive Director, Blueprint Ministries, to wrap up today's program. And then, of course, we can always talk Bama hoops and SEC fines. We didn't really dig into that much. And one of the things that we didn't dig into yesterday, X, and I'll let you, when I toss it back to you, did we see Lane Kiffin, a scary Lane Kiffin Saturday? If that dude does that, I think we briefly hit it, but yesterday, but if Lane Kiffin coaches at a mature level, like he's been taught by his dad and by Coach Saban, will he be a scary, scary thought? Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Good morning, Ax.
Good morning. Good morning. So to kick things off, of course, it's Wednesday, so that means that the college football playoff rankings dropped last night. Alabama moved up one spot. We're sitting at number 10 now. In there, you got a total of 5 SEC schools. Just do a quick run through of it. You've got Oregon at 1, Ohio State at 2, Texas 3, Penn State 4, Indiana, who is still undefeated, at 5, BYU at 6, Tennessee 7, Notre Dame 8, Miami 9, Bama 10, Ole Miss 11, Georgia 12, Boise State is 13, SMU 14, and I'll stop at 15 at Texas A&M at 7 and 2. So that's the top 15 teams. That's really, I would say, the range of, as of right now, teams that could potentially end up in the college football playoffs. What are your thoughts looking at that list?
First of all, the Big Ten is self-propagating, in my opinion. Of those, if you add all those together, Alabama has more top 25 wins than all 4 of the top 5 Big Ten teams, right?
Right.
Oregon has 2, and Ohio State has 1, right? Does Penn State have 1? I know Indiana doesn't.
No.
And Penn State doesn't, right?
Nope. Neither does Texas. And number 6.
Hold on. Let me hold on. Hang out on that Big Ten. Oregon beat Ohio State.
Yes. And Boise State. That's there too.
And Boise State.
Yep.
So that's self-propagating. Ohio State beat Penn State, right? So, and then the next 2 haven't beaten anybody. Texas hadn't beaten anybody. Has BYU? I think they were one of those that had not beaten a top 25 team.
I'd have to look.
Yeah, but either way, between BYU, Tennessee,
Notre Dame's top 25 win is Texas A&M.
Yeah,
but
and so and then you have BYU. I think BYU doesn't have 1. Tennessee has Alabama. Notre Dame has 1. Did Miami have 1? I don't think so. Let me see.
No. I have to look at the back half of the top 25 if there's another ACC team.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Louisville. They got Louisville.
So, yeah. And so, let that sink in. And then you get to Alabama at number 10, who has 4. so, and then
Ole Miss has 2. And Georgia has a 15-point win over Texas and a 28-point win over Clemson.
Yeah. And who's Ole Miss is against? They got Georgia and who else?
Georgia, South Carolina, Okay. And that's it.
Yeah. So where's South Carolina at this week?
21.
Okay. So with that said, if you're really ranking based off of teams and all of this thing be totally different. This is them taking AP poll rankings and readjusting it, not starting a ranking really where it should be in the season. And record-wise, I don't have a problem with the teams that's undefeated being up there, but I still think the SEC still may have the best teams in the country, even though the polls don't show that.
Right. I have a buddy that is a Penn State fan, and we were talking Sunday, and he was trying to give me crap about us losing to Vandy. I was like, but you don't want to see us if we make the playoffs. And he goes, you're right.
Who does he do
like,
before?
Right. He's a Penn State grad.
All right. Hey, let's quickly get a call. J-Rob, you're in with Martin and Xavier. What you got for us, man?
Good morning, guys. How's everything going?
Going good.
Going good.
All right. I don't put a lot in stock into these rankings right now, but because I know they set you up for the future, but a lot of these teams are going to be playing each other between now and the end of the season, the last 3 games, and it'll all be mixed up. And they also said that those rankings doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be seeded that way. So seeding and rankings are 2 different things as far as that poll goes. So I'll just have to wait till the final one comes out, and that's the only one you can count on.
Well,
if you look at the Big Ten team, if you look at the Big Ten teams, that Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Indiana, they don't play each other the rest of the season.
What about in the championship games, though?
There's no crossover for them anymore. The only crossover that you had was Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State. There's 0 crossover outside of the Big Ten championship game.
And the other thing,
who's likely to go to that?
Here's the thing. The other thing you have to remember, to your point, J-Rob, is only one of those 4 will be in the top 4. Okay, so say Oregon wins out and then they lose in the championship game to Ohio State. Ohio State will be the number 1 seed. Oregon at best would be number 5. And then all the other Big Ten teams would be below that.
Yeah.
They would be below that.
Who likely will play in that championship, the Big Ten championship, I wonder? Oregon.
As of right now, it'd be Oregon and Indiana.
Okay, well, Indiana may give them a game now. They seem to be pretty good with who they're playing. But I got a question. Y'all may have touched on it yesterday. What kind of impact is Q Robinson being missing going to have on our defense? I know it's easy enough to say, hey, we'll just slide Jihad Campbell out there, but who's going to fill his spot in the middle? So what kind of impact is that going to have on our defense going forward?
When I look at this injury, I mean, it's a big loss, man, and I really hate it for Q because he was having a great season. He waited his turn and finally got out there and was making an impact. But I think realistically,
hopefully he'll get another year. I said hopefully he'll get another year.
That'd be good.
Yeah. When you look at what I would do, I would probably slide. You can do 2 things. You can slide Jihad out and put Justin Jefferson in the middle, and that's probably the smallest drop off. But I mean, then you have Quay Russo and Jans Pierre is going to be stepping up. Keanu Cote, who I thought would be a guy in this rotation, is now suspended. Coach DeBoer didn't say why, but that is going to be Pierre and Russo moving forward as far as the outside linebackers go when you play Jihad in the middle.
And my only concern, J-Rob, as I let you go, J-Rob, would be the following. Indiana run that rock.
Yeah.
And I think that you lose something with Jefferson as the run stopper. I think he's a great blitzer. I think he's a great coverage guy. I think you drop off a little bit if you move Jihad out to linebacker, outside linebacker, whatever they call it, and then put him. But it'll hurt a little bit. But the good news is I don't think it hurts moving forward from here through the regular season. In other words,
so wasn't he leading the team in quarterback pressures and sacks?
Who?
Q Robinson.
Yeah. I don't know about pressures, but he was a tied for the lead.
He's a sack leader.
Thanks, J-Rob.
Yeah. Y'all be good. Thanks. Roll Tide.
Be good. Roll Tide. We'll be back on the other side. I want to introduce a new sponsor we have. We'll be telling you more about them. That's Johnson & Marshall Dentistry. Johnson & Marshall Dentistry. They were our original sponsor for the Christian Moment of the Week. So I'll be telling you more about them. We're bringing them back in to close out the 2024 year. So that's Johnson & Marshall Dentistry. You can find them at Johnson & Marshall Dentistry. We'll tell you more about them when we come back on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, a very good morning to you and happy hump day. We're moving right along on the Tuscaloosa freeways and side streets. Pretty easy street for you right now. You're maneuvering around construction zones, and that's not even a big issue. So if you are traveling on McFarland, east and westbound between Jack Warner and Lurleen Wallace.
For his clients. Remember M for money and Mezrano.
If it has a logo on it, call me. 205-800-8000.
Got timberland in West Alabama or East Mississippi? North River Timber Company has you covered. Since 2011, Courtney White, a registered forester, along with his expert team, have been managing timberland and harvesting timber across 4 West Alabama counties. They offer comprehensive timber management plans, reforestation services, and appraisals. Courtney White says timber is like money in the bank. Don't let your investment go.
Visit us now to save big and discover why so many are switching to BMW. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
Hey, I'm Martin Houston, and I want to tell you about exciting news happening at Box Eye Care. They've moved to their new location, bringing you a brand new lab, stylish new frames, and a fresh look just for you. Enjoy their expanded frame inventory, competitive prices, and faster service, all with the same great level of service you've come to know and trust. Discover this full-service eye care at Box Eye Care's new location. With their in-house lab, they offer unbeatable value and one of the largest frame collections in town. Schedule your eye exam today and walk out with new glasses in less than an hour in most cases. Visit boxeyecare.com. That's boxeyecare.com or call 205-342-0660. That's 205-342-0660. Visit them at 5003 Oscar Baxter Drive. That's Box Eye Care. Your vision, our priority.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. It's a Wild Card Wednesday, and we're introducing a new sponsor who will carry us throughout the remainder of this year. That's Johnson & Marshall Dentistry. You can find them at Dentist with an S, dentisttuscaloosa.com. They will help you discover your smile, care for your smile, as well as offer you all of the traditional services that helps you have a healthy mouth. And you'd be amazed at how the health of your mouth associates with the health of your body and your life. Go check out Johnson & Marshall Dentistry. They were the original ones who brought us the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week. Glad to have them back on to close out 2024. Let's bring in Pat. Pat, you're in with Martin and Xavier on the Empowerment Strategy Solutions Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning. X offered up the question, how good is Bray Hubbard? Ray Hubbard is good enough to do the job. That Coach Bryant did the same thing. He brought in quarterbacks from teams and made defensive backs out of them. Ray's doing an outstanding job, in my opinion. What do you think, X?
Man, I love it. I think he's brought a fresh level of intensity to the safety position. Keon Sabb was unreal through the first part of the season before his injury, and you could kind of see his play taper off. But I think Bray's getting back to that level. You're talking about back-to-back games with interceptions. He's the third highest rated college safety since week 8 by PFF. So that shows you that he's out there making plays and contributing at a high level.
And I would say that he's doing a really, really good job. And a healthy Bray Hubbard is on par with is better than what we had with an unhealthy Sabb. And so glad he's able to step in. I knew his athletic ability, but I've been impressed probably as much with his physicality as I have his range and stuff, because of the athlete he is, doesn't surprise me. So kudos to him for being ready when his opportunity came, and it makes you feel really, really good that if Sabb decides to leave, that you got a guy like Hubbard. Whether he leaves or not, they probably can move him and play Malachi's spot as well. Hadn't seen him as much in coverage yet, X. This was a better game for that. So as long as we're getting pressure, I have zero worries. And so I don't think we'll have a problem the next 3 weeks. And that'll give him even more confidence and experience. Thanks, Pat. You got anything else before I let you go?
No, man. Hey, y'all have a blessed day, and get hunting on whatever new prospects you want to work at, Martin. Bye.
Yes, sounds good, man. Thanks. All right, X, next call.
We have
Robert.
Robert joining us on the Empowerment Strategy Solution Hotline. How you doing, Robert?
Hey, guys. Well, the second of college football committee's decisions, and they don't seem to be taking straight to schedule and as nearly as into play as we would like them to. And it's amazing that we're in the first year of a 12-team playoff, and the two of the teams that have dominated college football the most is on the edge of neither one of them makes it. That's just. I keep thinking about all these expansion deniers when they was just saying we're going to be always the same 4 teams and blah blah blah, and we don't need the other teams. And, really? I bet you Georgia cares about the number 12 team right now, don't they? In fact, everybody does. That number 12 team is Georgia. You can best believe everybody's going to care about that team, or Alabama. So it's amazing.
Yeah, Robert, real quick, you look at it right now, and here's the thing, Robert. If Georgia wins, the question becomes, based on how they win, what they gonna do with Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama.
Yeah.
So Tennessee beat Alabama, Alabama beat Georgia, Georgia beat Tennessee.
It's turning into a tangled web now.
But then how do you, in LSU, in Ole Miss is ahead of Georgia right now, but they're the only one of those that they played is who? Georgia. So is it fair to put them ahead? So all four of those teams could literally be, if Georgia wins out, the 12 teams that could potentially be 9, 10, 11, and 12 could be Alabama, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Georgia.
Yeah. But we don't need this, and college football is ruined because we got this now. SEC Short should do a skit on the SEC and as to how all this is going to play out. I'd love to see them do that.
Hey, Robert and X, I'll let you show. Listen to this. Would you want to be seed 5, 5, 6, 7, and 8 if that's the bottom four?
No.
Because if that ends up, Robert, 9, 10, 11, and 12, that's a distinct possibility because I don't think any of these teams play each other anymore, right? Nope. Other than Georgia and Tennessee. Nope. So if that ends up being the case, you would end up with the possibility, listen to this, with the distinct possibility that you could have 1, 2, 3, and 4 playing 9, 10, 11, and 12.
And let's not forget Texas.
Texas would be
no. But here's the crazier part. Say it's Texas, Alabama in the SEC championship game because that's what it will most likely be if Georgia beats Tennessee and then everybody wins out the rest of the way. Say Texas loses to Bama. Bama goes into the top 4. Texas falls out and could potentially be one of those 8, 9, 10, the 9, 10, 11, 12 team. And then you're sitting there going, oh, well, we got Alabama out of it, but we just put Texas back in it.
But Alabama would move to the number 1 seed, and you could end up with on that second round, Robert, you could end up with 5 SEC schools playing with the potential for 4 teams in the college football playoffs, all being SEC.
Texas A&M have to play each other.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's.
That could be it's definitely good times right now. And the games we're going to have in the postseason, goodness gracious. Your idea about, the conference championship games not impacting the national championship, of course, is a brilliant one. That's definitely the route they're going to have to go with this. So it's just going to be patently unfair for a 2-loss SEC team. Both teams got 2 losses playing for in the SEC championship game, and another one gets a 3rd loss, and their reward is getting knocked out of the playoff when they were already in. That just can't be. That can't be the case. They want to keep these games fine. You pay the players for playing them, and they have no bearing on the national championship. And it may not be the case in the SEC, but if it was the ACC or the Big 12 or the other conferences, that would come into play. So that wouldn't be fair to them either. So it's definitely probably they need to go with this.
Thanks, Robert. Hey, let's get Biscuit Bruce real quick, X, because I'm going to be getting out of here after this break. Biscuit Bruce, you're in on the Empowerment Strategy and Solutions Hotline. What's on your mind, sir? Is Biscuit Bruce there?
You there, Biscuit?
Going once. Going twice. So sold. All right. X, anything before I get ready to get out of here you got for me before we go this morning, before I go?
I know this is a little off. It's about the playoffs, but do you realize that if Colorado wins out, they're playing for the Big 12 championship, and if they win it, that really throws things off crazy because what are you going to do with BYU at that point if BYU's the team in? Colorado makes a crazy jump because that's what nobody's talking about when you look at some of these lower-ranked teams that are still in the hunt for their conference championship. They could come in and blow things up completely, and then what do you do?
Yeah, I think a one-loss BYU team might fall out.
Yeah, because Colorado's sitting at 7-2 and number 17, but they went out, win the Big 12, they're automatically in.
One of those SEC schools might fall out. They would take the opportunity to drop an SEC school if we're at that 9, 10, 11, and 12.
But do they drop a SEC team that didn't play for the SEC championship team and only has 2 losses, or do they drop the 3 losses that played for it?
Let me tell you the brilliance of the SEC, getting rid of divisions, which ensures the top best 2 teams are playing for the championship, where it's not necessarily the case in other conferences because they still have divisions. You see what I'm saying? So in the SEC, you're not going to have like Georgia would still be the top. Georgia would still be winning the West, wouldn't he?
Tennessee right now.
Well, but they play each other.
Yeah.
And so Georgia would win out. And Georgia would represent the West, no matter where they were ranked. Yeah. But with this, it's going to be whoever has the best record and head-to-head. So, all right. Well, hey, guys, I appreciate you guys joining us each and every day. I have going to talk to some men on a mission this morning over at Walker Elementary out in the Northside community. So be praying for me there. I'll be back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, but X will take it out from here, him and Chase, and they'll add Scotty Hollins to the conversation. We appreciate you being part of the program each and every day right here on the Martin Houston Show, powered by Box Eye Care. See y'all on tomorrow. Stay tuned for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, a very good morning to you and happy hump day. We're moving right along on the Tuscaloosa freeways and side streets. Pretty easy street for you right now. You're maneuvering around construction zones, and that's not even a big issue. So if you are traveling on McFarland, east and westbound between Jack Warner and Lurleen Wallace.
Build up to Black Friday with savings all month long at Lowe's. Get up to 50% off select major appliances, plus take an additional 10% off when you buy select major appliances. And don't wait to pick up holiday inflatables under $20. Don't wait to save, in-store or online now, because Lowe's knows deals. Valid 11/6 through 12/4. Cannot be combined with additional discounts. See Lowe's.com for details and qualifying items while supplies last.
New album Rise and Fall available now. Scotty McCreery Live.
Dixie Battery Supply takes care of all of your battery needs. Find the commercial batteries you're after and never feel powerless again. Come check out our Northport and Tuscaloosa locations or call us at 205-758-9190. And once again, power up all your devices by using Dixie Battery Supply, DixieBatterySupply.com.
Repair and the future repairs. No overtime charges on weekends and holidays. No hassle guarantee. Adams Heating and Cooling, 205-872-0045.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A cloudy sky today, a good chance of rain this afternoon, the high 66. For tonight, occasional rain with the low at 57. Tomorrow, cloudy, any lingering showers ending during the morning hours, the high tomorrow at 68. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 65 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. Xavier Houston, as Martin said before the break, that he is headed out to speak. So it's just going to be me and Chase through the third quarter, and then, of course, we'll have Scotty Hollins for the fourth. Chase, I want to read this to you from Virgil Williams and just kind of tell me your thoughts on this. Speaking of the conference championships, it creates an unfair scenario. You have teams like Notre Dame, who is not in the conference with no chance of playing a conference championship game. I believe going forward, they need to force Notre Dame into a conference to make them eligible to be in the playoffs. Just my opinion. I don't understand why they're not in a conference and why they're allowed to be in the top 12 when they're not in the conference, because we are sitting here watching conferences beat up on themselves, i.e. the SEC.
Yeah, I think that's partially true. I think Notre Dame has kind of scathed by a little bit these past few years, kind of not being able to be in conference championships and getting in these playoffs and getting these high rankings. But you have other teams that have, fought and clawed throughout this season like they have, but then they have to play another game in the conference championship and have that dictate whether they're in the playoffs. I think it's important. I think as of late, conference championships have lost the value of it because of how feared people are that they may lose or they might not even have a chance to be in the playoffs. because of this new 12-team ranking. So I think Notre Dame needs to be held to a higher standard, especially if you look at their schedule. They really haven't played anybody, and I think it's imperative that they are in a conference championship because you have other teams who have one-loss records like BYU. It's important, and they might be in the Big 12 championship. So I think it is important that they do be in the conference championship moving forward.
Yeah, and that's exactly your point. Like, you look at a BYU who's sitting at 9-1, they could finish the regular season 11-1, but then they have to go play the next week. You look at Texas. Texas could have an 11-1 record. They have to go play the next week. You look at teams like maybe potentially Ohio State, depending on what happens down the last few games. One loss, has to go play again, and would have to most likely play Oregon again. So you're looking at scenarios now, especially in the Big Ten and the SEC, where it's no more divisions, but it's a wide open conference, so it's the best two teams. Well, a lot of people thought that it would end up being Alabama, Georgia this year, with maybe Georgia or Alabama being the undefeated team and the other one being the one loss and having to play each other, or Texas, Georgia in that scenario. So how do you keep looking at this and go, Notre Dame doesn't have to play that extra game in any way, shape, form, or fashion, but they get a pass in? I don't think it's right. And then you have Chuck Hunt say it is a situation where Notre Dame is going to Notre Dame in football by being their own entity, making the money for themselves. This is only my opinion. And Chuck, you're not wrong, but at some point, being your own entity when everybody else is having to go through a true conference schedule, Notre Dame gets away with playing they'll play a couple teams out of what was the old Big Ten and the Pac-12, and then they play like the academies, Army, Navy, schools like that, and they get in. You look at when they played Alabama in the national championship back in 2012. You look at how they played Alabama in the playoffs. What was that? 2021, 2020. They're getting a pass because they don't even have that extra game to test them against a high-level opponent. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, all their other teams outside of football are in the ACC.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, so their baseball team, ACC, basketball teams, ACC. All these other sports are playing in a conference, have to win a conference championship in a conference championship game or tournament to be considered the champions of that. While their football team gets to just honestly skate by, and you don't have any pressure to put on them outside of that, and they get to pick and choose their schedule at ease, so they could play, quote unquote, a couple of big teams. But are they really like? Chase, could you even pull up their schedule and see who they've played? They played Texas A&M to start the season. They lost to a 5-4 Illinois team the next week. I don't even know who their schedule is. Purdue's what, 1-7? Like they're playing the bottom teams in these other conferences, and it's more of it's weird that all their other teams are in the ACC, but their football team has played a Pac-12 / Big Ten schedule. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, even with that. But yeah, I just think that's really interesting when you look at Notre Dame and when you're talking about this 12-team playoff. They haven't had to play anybody, yet they're getting the benefit of the name brand of being Notre Dame.
Yeah, and I'm looking at their schedule now. They played A&M, lost that one, and A&M was ranked 20th at the time. Then they lost to Northern Illinois. Then they went to Purdue, and they won that one. They beat Miami, Ohio. They beat Louisville, who was ranked 15th at the time. They played Stanford. They played Georgia Tech. They played Navy. They played Florida State. And then they have Virginia coming up. So the only three teams really that were ranked at the time was A&M, Louisville, and Navy, and that's not going to help their case because I don't even know if Navy's in the top 20, top 25.
They're not.
And then Louisville, same as them. If I'm looking at, they're not even in it. So the only team right now is A&M, and A&M has to stay perfect at this point because it's Texas A&M. Excuse me, thank you, X. So they're 7-2 right now, and they have to play Texas moving forward. So it's not a good look for Notre Dame right now. And they have Army on the 23rd November, but I don't even know if Army is ranked 24. So it is not looking so good right now.
Yeah. And you really got to think when you're having these conversations, look at the impact that when you're talking about being in the conference, look at the impact Georgia has had this year when they've had to play teams from the old SEC West. And if you really look at it, if you break it down how it probably would have been broken down if we stayed in divisions, Texas would have been a West team. Point blank period.
Yeah.
So they beat Texas, but Carson Beck probably had his worst game of the season, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. They lose to Bama. They lose to Ole Miss. So you're going, look at the impact and effect of that. What would Notre Dame be if they had to play? Let's just do based off of where they're located. If they had to play a regular Big Ten schedule, they'd have to potentially skate by. Just depending on how they play, they would have to play potentially Indiana this year, Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State. Let's just say they had to play 2 of those games. Like, what would you say at best they're 1-1, and that's if they get lucky and beat Indiana? Because I don't think they could beat Penn State. I don't think they could beat Ohio State, and I don't think they could beat Oregon.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't see them doing much better against those teams as it is. They're ranked high for a reason. Oregon is just on another stratosphere right now, and I don't think they're going to touch them. Yeah, these Big Ten teams, I feel like Notre Dame would struggle, especially with Notre Dame losing to Northern Illinois in the first couple of weeks of the season. So,
right,
yeah, it's looking really weird, honestly, when you kind of dive into with Notre Dame, and that might hurt them when it comes to like these teams getting close to these conference championships. And every week, and you see it, it's the new parity. It's turning to the NFL. So we don't know what teams will stay in the ranking. We don't know what teams will move up, down. It's looking kind of all over the place right now.
Right. So, I mean, this college football playoffs, man, this 12 team has made everybody talked about, it's going to hurt this game, the regular season. Man, this regular season has been the most exciting for me as a fan, probably since the first college football playoffs when it was the 14th, because you didn't know what was going to happen with that. And the parity is absolutely insane. Every game counts more because you might now in the BCS in the top Bama fans, Georgia fans, Ole Miss fans, all these 2-loss teams, we'd just be like, well, what are we going to get a decent bowl game? Or are we going to still get a New Year's Six bowl game? Well, instead we're going, man, if we get in this thing, we can win it. If our team catches fire and plays strong, we can go get a national championship out of this, even with these 2 losses. And I'm loving that aspect of it. I think it is absolutely making the college football season more fun. But before we get to break, I don't know if people know this, and we come back with Scotty Hollins. Keanu Coates suspended from the team. Don't know for how long or for what the reasons. Coach the board talked about it slightly the other day. How impactful do you think this could be? I think it's a big depth hit, especially now with Q being out. Chase, do you think that we see somebody else step up, or as we were talking, do you think it's just a movement around of Jihad playing more outside linebacker, Yancey Pierre stepping up with Quay Russaw. What do you think happens now that you have Q Robinson out and Keanu Coates suspended?
I think the time of it couldn't be any worse. Alabama was just getting their footing back in with their defense, starting to find their identity, and then you hear that Keanu Coates is suspended. So I think Jihad has been playing impeccable football this season, but it does beg the question: can he handle more responsibility? And I think he can. Luckily, moving forward, they don't even play anybody for the rest of the season because Mercer, and then you have Oklahoma, which their QB situation is a little funky, and then you have Auburn, they are a dumpster fire every week. So I think it'll be okay, but depth issues, I would definitely be praying on that because God forbid another injury happens on the defense. Who are you going to look towards? So right. It's looking really scary right now.
Yep. Well, hey, that's this portion of the Martin Houston Show. We're going to get to break, and when we come back on the other side, we're going to have the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week with Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries.
Go inside the Alabama Crimson Tide with the Gary Harris Show.
Hey, everybody, it's Gary Harris. Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. It is a jam-packed edition of the Gary Harris Show, the NASCAR report with Matt Coulter. As I do another victory lap, I picked Joey Logano to win it, and he won it. He is the series champion, and we'll talk about that. Also, we're going to have Kayla Anderson on with the Tennessee Titans report because she couldn't make it on Tuesday, and Larry the Music Man joins us as well, plus your phone calls. That's a jam-packed Wednesday Hump Day edition of the Gary Harris Show.
Catch the Gary Harris Show Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
Tide 100.9 Traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Do I see a little something here on University Boulevard? Well, it looks so you just want to be aware of delays on the westbound lanes of University at 2059. It's taking you back a bit to Merben Circle. Otherwise, traffic on the rest of the roadways not doing too shabby.
The Tide Tailgate Show is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors, Skyland Boulevard, Tuscaloosa, and the new location, Highway 280, Birmingham. Online at academy.com.
The venue, your new favorite Tuscaloosa hangout, food, music, and more. Come and taste what's new at the venue, whether it's Liza's Sweet Shop, whether it's the all-day breakfast and burgers from Ramajama's, or the quality food that you can get at Finish Pub. Great atmosphere, great time, great people, great environment. That's the venue. You can find them online.
Renovations. Experience the wow factor. Contact Shoot Masonry and Specialties at 205-887-3807 today and unleash your home's full potential.
Visit the pharmacy at Midtown. That's the pharmacy at midtown.com. TJ and his team are looking for the opportunity to provide you with great services, including compounding, home delivery, and a whole lot more. If you're looking for a great pharmacy that'll take care of all of your needs, including wellness classes, including health, and more, that's the pharmacy at Midtown. Call them at 205-579-9933. If you're looking for a great pharmacy, you need to try the pharmacy at Midtown. That's the pharmacy at Midtown, pharmacy at midtown.com. Houston Hydrosteam. That's Houston Hydrosteam. Quality work you can stand on. Whether you're looking for carpet and upholstery cleaning, oriental rug cleaning, residential or commercial water damage, and a whole lot more, you need to call Houston Hydrosteam at 205-553-9460, 553-9460, or visit them online at HoustonHydrosteam.com. And once again, Houston Hydrosteam is quality work you can stand on.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show, Martin and Xavier. It is now time for the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week with Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. How you doing this morning, Scotty?
Hey, buddy, I'm doing great. How are you?
I can't complain.
Absolutely. Well, I'll jump on in. We're going to continue our series for the next few minutes on fundamentals that build a firm foundation. We've looked at the fundamental of spending time in God's Word. Listen, that's a
a fundamental that will build a very firm foundation. We've looked, and now looking at the fundamental of fellowship. This is something that we need. Locking arms with other believers, other people who are growing in their relationship with God. And here's what I call them: other teammates. Yes, we're all teammates on the same team as believers, and so we need to make sure that we are spending time with other Christians. Our verse was Hebrews 10:24-25, and let us not give up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but let us spur one another on towards loving good deeds, and all the more you see the day approaching. Here's what I'm telling you. You need to be plugged into a local church, but also you need to be plugged into a small group. This is what we talked about last week, a small group at that church. Again, it's basically you got a team, that's your church, and then you have a position group. If you play running back, you go to the position. You have a running back coach. If you play receiver, you have a receiver coach, and you hang out mostly in terms of meetings with that small group, that group of running backs, that group of receivers. Well, as believers, we need to have a small group that we're connecting with at a deeper level. Listen to me. Two things need to be true of that small group. You need to have people in that group who know you well enough to see your blind spots. Listen, they know you well enough. And guess what? You know them well enough to see theirs. But check this out. Here's the kicker, that you care enough to say something. You love them enough to say, hey, man, here's an area I'm either that I've seen that I want to encourage you in, or here's an area that I see that you're growing in that challenges me to grow in my life as well. I think the foundation for that type of love is John 15:13, which says, greater love has no one than this, that you lay down your life for your friend. If you lay down your life for your friend, you're literally doing what's best for your friend, no matter what it costs you. As we try to use this building block of fellowship, this fundamental of fellowship to build a firm foundation in our lives, we need to have relationships with people where we know them well and they know us well. We know them well enough to see their blind spots, and we care enough about them to say something. And we also know them well enough to allow them to see our blind spots. And we know that they love us enough that we will receive what they say when they care enough to actually say something. And so here's, again, a building block, once again, that I believe will build a firm foundation in our lives. And as Martin always does at the end, he ties it into kind of the team dynamic. Hey, everybody needs a teammate like that who knows you well enough to see the blind spots and cares enough to say something.
Right. Yeah. Hey, Scotty, man, we appreciate you coming on every week, sharing the word, talking and doing the good Lord's work. We definitely appreciate it. Can you let everybody know where they can? Can you let everybody know where they can reach out to you at?
Absolutely. You can go to www.blueprintstuscaloosa.com. Send me a message there. It comes straight to my email.
All right. That's Scotty Hollins of Blueprint Ministry. And that was the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week. Hey, I'm Xavier Houston. We had Martin earlier. That's Chase Brumfield pressing all the right buttons. And we will be back tomorrow. We'll be talking a little recruiting. There's a lot of news there. Y'all be blessed and have a good Wednesday.